First and foremost, let's go over the agenda. I want to go ahead and start and talk about how to basically get started by using Sparky. So we'll go over the tiny details of how to save Sparky as a contact, how to sync up your calendar with Sparky, and just to kind of take it from the top real quick, basically what Sparky is it's like a personal assistant that we've created for real estate agents to kind of help with a variety of different things that we'll go in and talk about in a little bit more detail here. I know a lot of agents were on the initial call last week and probably already know that, but for those who are just chiming in for the first time today, that's basically like the quick and easy of what Sparky does and how to utilize it. We'll go over some basic use cases as well. So what are the best practices for real estate agents on how to use Sparky? And then at the end, we want to go ahead and set time aside to go ahead and just do like a giant group discussion just to kind of get everyone on the same page. As Keck was mentioning earlier, if anyone has a question, feel free to just chime in and have us pause, and we'll be happy to go ahead and answer questions as they arise too. So going ahead and getting started with Sparky, it's super simple. We can actually walk through the steps on how to do it right now for agents that haven't been onboarded yet. So the way Sparky works is we give you a phone number and an email address. And it's actually, can you guys see it on the screen right now? It's the first touch point on the PowerPoint right now.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So that is the phone number and the email address to save Sparky as a contact in your phone. The idea is once you have Sparky saved as a contact, you would just communicate with it just like you would a real life personal assistant or an actual human being that you save as a contact in your phone. So we could go, has everyone already downloaded the application and saved Sparky as a contact in the phone? If not, we could pause for 30 seconds because this is going to be a very key and important thing.
I downloaded the app, but I didn't add the contacts. I'm doing that right now.
Okay, no worries. We can wait for 30 seconds.
Okay. Do I have to save the email as well?
Yes. Oh yeah, and you have to save Sparky as a favorite as well. Otherwise it won't work.
Okay. Yeah.
Just kidding.
Okay. Okay, done.
Okay, awesome. And then the last time we did the demo last week, we basically went over the web platform. Agents have the option of going ahead and viewing everything online after you've saved Sparky as a contact, send it some information. You can view that information on a desktop or a mobile application. If you wanted to go ahead and download the app from your phone so that way you can view it on both platforms, you can just search for FieldNotes Ai in the App Store. And then we'll go into details on how to connect it with your calendar and set up a signature here as well. Perfect. So if everyone's in, I want to go through the steps 3 and 4, which is syncing Sparky with your calendar and setting up the signature. So is everyone there?
Yes, I am.
Okay, perfect. So on the top right corner, it should once you log in, it should have your name displayed on the top right corner. So we'll say welcome. And then if you go ahead and you click on that, it's going to give you 3 options. It's going to say profile, settings, and then log out. If we can go ahead and click on settings, from there, we'll notice it gives you the option to sign into either your Google Calendar or your Outlook calendar on the next page. You would just go ahead and click on whichever calendar app you wanted to synchronize everything with. And it would just ask you to log into either your Google account or your Microsoft account from there.
So once you log in through your laptop, will it sync to your phone? Like, will you be able to access your calendar from your phone once you do it on?
Yes.
On this, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so Johnny, while you're doing that, is it okay if we move on to the next step? Okay, perfect. So the next thing we want to do, guys, is we want to go ahead and set up your signature. So last conversation, we talked about action plans very briefly, and we'll go into that in a little bit more detail here as well. But one of the things that we want to make sure is if Sparky is sending out a message, either a text message or an email on behalf of the agent, we want it to have your custom signature on there so it sounds so it comes across as being more personable. The way you would actually set up your signature is if we can go ahead and go back to and click the welcome sign, but this time instead of settings, we would want to click on profile. Is everyone there?
Almost.
No worries.
Google account. Okay, so can you repeat what we were supposed to do? Go back, you said.
Okay, so we would just click the welcome sign one more time. This time, instead of going ahead and clicking the settings to go to the calendar, we would click on the other option where it says profile.
Okay, got it. Okay.
And then once the profile pops up, this is basically where you can go ahead and change your password. If for all the agents that signed in, the default, you can go ahead and enter that in and change the password if you'd like. And then next to the profile tab, there's another tab that says signatures and more. You would just go ahead and click on that and then copy and paste your signature or enter in your signature and hit save.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. One of the other details I wanted to talk about for since we're on the profiles here is the default. I'm not sure what time zone it's defaulted to, but you would want to double check to make sure that it is that your account is selected to Eastern Standard Time as the time zone.
Preferred time zone, Eastern time. Yep, mine's there.
Okay.
Okay. And should we have the reminders, both task and contact daily, both checked or just one?
I would recommend having them both checked, just so that way Sparky can, based off of all the information you share with Sparky, it can send you reminders of, hey, you know, you should probably do this today. That way it can go ahead and throw calendar appointments on your Google or your Outlook calendar for you, as well as send you email reminders to do things. Okay. So guys, were we pretty much caught up here, or would we just want to make sure we're all on the same page before I move forward?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And then, so before I go on to the next slide, you'll notice that there's a link at the bottom that says FieldNotes.ai/start. If anyone needed to walk through all of the steps that we just covered, you can always go ahead and just go to that link. So FieldNotes.ai/start. And then Sparky actually goes ahead and walks you through how to do all of the things we just did right now as well. So. Okay, so now that we got Sparky saved as a contact, I want to talk about some best practices on how you can use Sparky. So the fundamental idea is you go ahead and share information with Sparky just like you would a personal assistant or an actual human being. Now, after you've shared information with Sparky, it's actually smart enough to figure out what tasks or what actions it needs to take based off of the information that you provided. I'm just going to go ahead and share a couple of examples here just to elaborate a little bit more about how you can utilize Sparky. So the first thing is organizing and adding contacts. So this is super helpful because as real estate agents, I know a lot of times, you know, we're super busy and we don't have the time to be in front of our computers. But if you could go ahead and capture informations by taking pictures of business cards, taking pictures of handwritten notes, taking pictures of whatever context pertaining to real estate you have, you could just share that information with Sparky. And what it does is it actually takes the contact information for all of the stuff that you're sharing with them, and it organizes and creates contacts in the database here for you. It also sets appointment reminders and follow-ups. So it doesn't just create new contacts and update existing contacts into the database, but it can actually go ahead and set appointment reminders for you as well. So a good example of this is if we were to send Sparky a contract for a lead that basically just went under contract, what Sparky would do is it would create their contact in the database if they don't exist in the database yet. If they do already exist, it's going to take the new information that it's getting, like what their final closing date is, what property address that they closed on, and it's going to update their contact into the system. Sparky will actually pull a checklist of everything that needs to happen as well. So, you know, the day that the contract gets signed, any day you have a home inspection, any day you need to reach out to a vendor to remove a contingency, all the way to the final closing date, it pulls this checklist of all the tasks that need to happen from the contract and throws it on your calendar for you. The more information you share with Sparky, the more suggestions it can actually make for you. So it'll actually go ahead and let you know, like, hey, you know, you haven't reached out to so-and-so person in about 3 to 5 months. I recommend you follow up with this person. So another thing you can actually do in addition to creating appointments, creating tasks, organizing contacts, making suggestions to follow up with those contacts is the transaction piece we were talking about. So the other thing was, so as far as the checklist on the transactions go, after the contracts in mutual acceptance, just to kind of reiterate myself here a bit, it would actually pull a checklist of everything that needs to happen. And one of the things I want to clarify is I know a lot of times the dates aren't explicitly written on the contract. Like you'll say 10 days out or 2 weeks out. Where the AI really kicks in is Sparky's smart enough to figure out what date that's going to be and make the appointments and remind you according to that. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about was nurturing the contacts and leads. And this goes back to, so we have all the information stored and organized there. How can we go ahead and engage with the leads that are in the database? So organization and storing information is very great, but what's even better is having Sparky having the insights to actually nurture those relationships for you. So if you put someone on an automatic campaign where you want them to be followed up with periodically, whether they're a current lead that you're working with or whether they're a past client, Sparky's smart enough to send them relevant content to maintain and nurture that relationship. So guys, I know I did a lot of talking. Really, the applications of what Sparky can do are pretty limitless. Like I have agents that we work with that reach out to me like, hey, I didn't know Sparky could do this. And, you know, I'm constantly learning something new every other day about what Sparky can do as well. So is Keck. Based off of everything we shared, was there any specific thing that comes to mind for any of the agents right now as far as how Sparky can be utilized and what it can do?
So we'll be able to send documents for like through DocuSign through this as well, or is that something separate?
So great question. Yes, you can send documents. You can send stuff to Sparky in basically a text format, whether it's a PDF document, whether it's a CSV, an Excel, or even a JPEG image. The file type doesn't necessarily matter. You could send it documents, but one thing I want to bring up is the only thing you can't do with DocuSign as a good example is if you send Sparky a link and it needs to click on the link to get to go to the document, that's actually where it won't be able to actually get the information. So it would have to be in the form of a PDF or some other file type.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions before we keep moving here, guys?
No.
Okay.
Okay, so but when you ask them to remind you, will it also send you the number to call, or is it just like a reminder?
Yeah, no, it will put on the calendar and it will have like the information of the contact information, their phone number and address as well too.
Okay, perfect. That works. All right, thanks.
Okay. Any other questions, guys, before we move on to the next slide?
No.
Okay. So a couple of things we want to talk about here is basically we talked a little bit about what Sparky is doing. The next thing I want to talk about is how it's actually taking that information and adding and updating the contacts. So a good example of this is we talked about how the different types of files you can share with Sparky. You can actually send it a text message directly as well, and it will actually read the context of the text message and create the update in the CRM or into the database for the agent. So a good example of this is you can send a text message to Sparky now that everyone's got Sparky saved as a contact in their phone, saying, I just met with first name Jason, and then last name could be Sandu, and then you can go ahead and just say the context of whatever you talked about. So I just met with Jason Sandu. He's looking to buy in the next 30 days. He's already a proof of financing. Categorize him as a very hot lead. And then Sparky will take action on all of the information you gave in that text message. So you gave it a phone, you gave Sparky a first name and a last name, and then all the other information you gave Sparky in the example being looking to buy in the next 30 days, already a proof of financing. It would actually take those details and make the appropriate updates to that specific contact. So if you go into that CRM and you search for that contact, we'll have all that information stored and organized and updated there. And then the other thing I want to talk about is categorizing. So you can add any details about your clients beyond just the basic name and the phone number and the email address. So we have the basic contact information, but then Sparky will organize that information for you on their contact in the database. So just to kind of give an example of this, let's say you have an Excel sheet or you have a large file with a ton of contacts. A lot of times on a CSV file or an Excel file like that, the basic information you have is their first name, last name, phone number, and email address. But you want to go ahead and you have more information about those contacts, such as relationship status, like where you would categorize them, whether they're hot, warm, and cold. You can actually go ahead and make the updates or the changes on the original file and then email it to Sparky, and it's smart enough to go ahead and update everything at once and categorize everything at once for you as well. And then organization. So as far as updating and categorizing contacts all together or individually, the other thing is storing and organizing that information into the CRM. Basically, you can tag certain leads by relationship status, like I already gave the example for, or by referral source. So if you wanted to go ahead and use the filters category to view all of your buyers versus all your sellers, or all your past clients versus all your current clients, or people that are coming in from different referral sources, like leads that you're generating from an open house versus like web leads that are coming in. Share all of these very tiny details with Sparky, so that way you can actually go back into the CRM and you can apply those filters to basically narrow down in on the specific types of clients or the specific tags that you want. Any questions on that, guys?
No.
Okay, perfect. So we'll keep moving here. And then so we talked a little bit about sending Sparky a contract and how it will pull a checklist from everything that needs to happen. That's not the only way to set appointment reminders or set calendar appointments. You can actually give Sparky context or information other ways that we talked about as well. So sending it a text message, sending it a picture of maybe a handwritten note, and it's smart enough to go ahead and create those appointments in accordance to that as well. Now, as far as follow-ups in to-do goes, let's say you share information with Sparky and it can't necessarily throw it on your calendar for you. Like if you were to just go ahead and text Sparky saying, remind me to follow up with this person, but you don't give it a time or a date or any framework as to when you want that task completed by, it understands that that's a task that still needs to be done, but it can't throw it on your calendar to remind you. So what Sparky does is it puts it in a to-do list and it emails you every single morning, letting you know how many items are on your to-do list. And over time, it actually starts learning how you operate and making its own suggestions of like, hey, you should probably do this today, or you should get around to this. So that's just the two ways it manages tasks. If it can throw it on your calendar to remind you, it will. Otherwise, it will just put it in a to-do list and email you every single morning.
Mhm.
So any questions about task management, guys?
No.
No.
Okay.
I have a question. Sorry.
Yes, go ahead.
Go back for a
Talked a
second.
lot of tasks about like, we were telling Sparky to do certain things. Can we tell Sparky to send our clients specific materials? Like sometimes they want to send a client an update on their listing, like here's the stats for this week. Can I tell Sparky to do something like that? Like, can you send them this form or this document, or does it have to be, I guess it would have to be something that's already uploaded and then they can send it?
Yeah, so if you have, it will be able to kind of send information like based on what is defined within the action plan. And we'll actually talk more in the next session itself too. But basically anything that's from this, what you've created within the action plan, it can be triggered to send an email or a text message to your contacts on your behalf.
Gotcha. So it's just based on an action plan that you set up previously with those types of things.
That's right. And then you can make it dynamic in terms of like making it, with some of the links and information from to kind of fill in as well too. Okay.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, and we'll actually talk a little bit more about action plans here on the next slide. This is a pretty cool example I wanted to share. So this is an example of someone taking a picture of a business card and sharing it with Sparky, and then sending a following text message in addition to that email. So we take a picture of the business card, we get their basic contact information, send it out to Sparky, but then we want more details as well. So like, what type of home they're interested in, location, when they're usually available. Sharing basically a variety of different information about the same contact gives us a better picture of how we can go ahead and like what action we can take for that specific contact. So with that being said, did want to talk a little bit more about the action plans that we've already mentioned. So if you go into the engagement tab, you can actually go into the action plan library, and you'll notice you have a few examples there already. Basically what an action plan is it's a pre-templatized conversation with different tasks and activities that you can basically customize and edit to make it look however you want. But if you put someone on an action plan, Sparky's actually going to be sending out a text message and an email of that pre-templatized message to the contacts that you want. You have the option of going ahead and playing around and making edits and changes to the action plans that are already in the library, or you can actually import or create your own as well. We kind of go into this in a little bit more detail on the next session as well. So that is something that we could save for later, so we're not overwhelming everyone with a lot of information today.
Okay.
All right, guys. And then last thing I want to end off with is we're sure everyone's still going to have a few questions here and there. Basically, there's two forms of support. You can always go ahead and reach out to the support line or the support email to go ahead and get a response sent back to you. And both the support email and the support phone number are listed down here on this page. Or you can always check out the support link as well to submit a ticket on what's going on.
Any questions, guys?
I had a question. So anything I put on the calendar, only I can see it, or can anyone see it?
Divyani, only you can see it. It's
Okay.
it's an internal reminder for you.
Okay.
One thing I will like to add is once Sparky's created the appointment on your calendar, At that point, you can just go ahead, if you did want to add someone onto that appointment or onto that calendar event, you can just open up your calendar after Sparky's created the event to add whoever it is you want to forward that event to. So,
Oh, okay. So you could always add someone in addition later.
exactly.
Okay.
I'm good, Jason. Thank you.
And then, so guys, I know we talked a lot about different ways to use Sparky. What I recommend is just sharing as much as, to kind of just get started here, I recommend just sharing as much as information as you possibly can with Sparky. And it really comes down to, we wouldn't want agents to kind of reinvent the wheel. So if you don't do a lot of networking events or you don't take a lot of, like, you don't have a lot of business cards, we wouldn't want you to go out of your way to do that. But if that is something you do, that's a good way to share information with Sparky. For agents that write down a lot of handwritten notes on pieces of paper, I would recommend taking pictures of those handwritten notes and sharing it with Sparky. Basically, whatever your primary method of storing and organizing your notes right now is, we wouldn't want you to go ahead and get off of that and change to a different method of doing things, but just get into the habit of sharing however you manage your information with Sparky, either by texting it, emailing it, sending it files, whatever the context is. Just share as much information as you possibly can to kind of get the ball rolling and get started with using Sparky.
Great. So
So
pictures
as far
are
as so as far as support goes, that email address, is it like a Zendesk or something where you put in a ticket, or does it get one of you guys directly?
No, so the support, you can create a ticket. It will go to the support team, similar like a Zendesk, but we're using a different system. And then also, or if you send a support email, that will go to also the team as well too.
Okay, thanks.
No problems. Okay, so then any other questions before we close this off? Okay.
No.
If not, thank you for your time.